Hello fellow Malaysians, this is Matthias Chang once again from Future Fast Forward. On Monday, I made a video presentation as to why something is very wrong with the DNAA discharge not amounting to acquittal arranged and negotiated by the lead prosecutor in the one MDB cases, Datuk Sri Gopal Sri Ram. And he represented to the President Attorney General that it had this arrangement had so-called the agreement in principle by the former Attorney General Tommy Thomas, which he has denied, categorically denied that he consented. And I also requested that the former Director of MACC, Wan Latifah Kuya, come forward to explain the circumstances giving rise to the order of DNAA. Likewise, Datuk Sri Gopal Sri Ram must give the background as to how they arrived to the conclusion that it was acceptable to offer or to grant an order of DNAA to Riza Aziz. Now, in this presentation, I'm merely amplifying what I said on Monday, that I will give more details about the transactions entered into by Riza Aziz using one MDB monies, okay, which in my judgment, right, has not been sufficiently investigated or looked into in more detail so that we can get more monies out of Riza Aziz, right, as part of the so-called compromise under the Money Launderers Act as well as the Anti-Terrorism Act. Why do I say that? Because way back, okay, Riza Aziz entered into a consent judgment when the DOJ on 3rd August 2018, all right, 3rd August 2018, after Pakatan Harapan, right, came to power, entered into a consent judgment in the case whereby the plaintiff, United States of America, and the defendant were Wolf of Wall Street motion picture and Daddy Home and Dumb and Dumber 2 motion picture. Okay, these were the assets. The two films were seized and forfeited by the DOJ pursuant to a civil action, forfeiture action filed in court. He realized there is no case, so he entered into a consent judgment for that particular proceedings, right, involving Wolf of Wall Street's motion picture as well as the other two pictures, Daddy's Home and Dumb and Dumber 2. Here is a picture, a photograph, right, of the cover page of the proceedings filed in court in California. See the words? Consent judgment. Got it? Okay, see the word consent judgment. Okay? Now, pursuant to the consent judgment, because Riza Aziz is a majority shareholder and the key figure in the company that produced the film Wolf of Wall Street, Red Granite. In the consent judgment, Riza Aziz and Red Granite agreed to pay, right, the sum to be forfeited by DOJ. Okay, and in that consent judgment, at page 13, all right, page 13, paragraph 13, it says here, and I'll read to you, please. The entirety of the agreement, the consent judgment, shall be with recourse to the majority shareholder in his personal capacity. That means Riza Aziz, right? and the majority shareholder shall personally guarantee Rick Granite's payment obligations described in paragraph 8 to 16 of this agreement, and the majority shareholder shall pledge all of his assets in whatever form held of any type and wherever located they are deemed to be the majority shareholder's assets, to the full satisfaction of Rick Granite's obligation to pay the forfeiture amount. Therefore, I appeal to the new Attorney General as well as the Sri Ram, pursue this wide scope of obligation and a declaration by Riza Aziz that he must use all his assets, however held, wherever it is, to secure the forfeiture sum demanded by the OJ. So Riza Aziz must declare each and every asset he owns, right, wherever they are, throughout the whole world, to DOJ. This is para 13, line 17 of the consent judgment. Alright? So therefore, our first question I pose to the new Attorney General, as well as Sri Ram, do you see a copy of all of the declaration pursuant to this consent judgment of Riza's entire assets all over the world, whether held in his own name or to some other company or to any third party? It's a very wide scope. And he guarantees, he gave a guarantee to DOJ. So, I therefore urge the Attorney General, the new Attorney General, right, to study and review what assets has Riza Aziz declared other than what the new Attorney General referred to in his media statement. Essentially, 3 properties in America and in London, a postal called Metropolis, okay, and a bank account. Is that all the assets that Riza Aziz owed and can be traceable to what MDB monies? I doubt it. And I can show that I'm right and they are wrong. Sri Ram, Latifah Koya, and they have not properly briefed the new Attorney General, and I therefore urge the new Attorney General to take a new look as to whether we have obtained enough monies from Riza Aziz over and above what has been declared and as the basis for the DNAA order. Alright? So, at page 79 of the suit, right, in which this matter arose. Now, there was an original claim years ago, and then there was an amendment made to the original statement of claim, all right? And this amendment was made on the 15th of June, all right? 2017, okay? So I want to know, as a matter of fact, and Dato Sri Ram, Latifah Koya, even though they have resigned, then MACC to review and advise the new Attorney General this additional monies, right, received by Riza Aziz. This is taken from page, right, 79 of the case, para F. All right, and I'll read to you in due course. Got it? Okay. Now, there's only a reference to a bank account, okay, in America. But in this paragraph 5, I read to you, right? APA BVI, British Virgin Islands, sent approximately 238 million. All right? 238 million to an account controlled by Aziz. Now, what is the amount that is to be collected by Aziz, from Aziz, in a DNAA agreement? Can you pass me the statement, media statement? Okay. Now, it is expected, right, in the media statement by the Attorney General, this amount will be collected. With this arrangement, Tan Sri Idris bin Harun says, with this arrangement, the government of Malaysia is expected to recover approximately USD 108 million. Okay? In addition to the 57,036,68, which has been forfeited in April 2019 from Red Granite Pictures. Okay. So, the forfeited sum paid by Red Granite to DOJ is one sum. Attorney General says, in addition to that sum already forfeited in the hands of DOJ, they intend to collect another 108 million US dollars. Okay? Alright? So this amount to be collected. Here now, it says here, ABA BVI sent approximately 238 million to an account controlled by Aziz. Between June 18, 2012 and November 4, 2012, 238 million was transferred directly from the ABA BVI Swiss account to an account controlled by Aziz, a relative of PM. From there, the funds were used to acquire nearly 100 million in real property for the personal benefit of Aziz and to fund Red Granite Pictures. Follow me? ABA BVI sent 3 wire transfers totaling $238 million to an account at BSI Singapore Limited in the name of Red Granite Capital Limited. And these wires were summarized as follows. Okay? And there you have, in that what I showed to you. So now, we know DOJ has forfeited, alright, almost 16 million US, right, paid already in the account of DOJ, for which Riza Aziz gave his personal pledge and guarantee to declare all the other assets which is in his possession. Okay. Now we come to in the statement by the Attorney General. It was a reference to a poster. Give me a minute, right? Okay. Page 3 of the media statement by the Attorney General, the present one. Okay, it says here. Para D, page 3 of the statement. On 21st April 2020, the MACC wrote to the solicitors instructing Riza Aziz to relinquish his rights, title and interest in another asset identified as the Metropolis poster, being a one-framed, 3-sheet color lithograph poster created by the German artist Heinz Sul-Nudam for the 1977 silent film Metropolis. So here the lawyer has declared in 2020 April, recently, right? In addition to the 3 assets, property assets, another one here. So therefore, it gives rise, rightly, that there could be more assets. What made the lawyers for Riza Aziz, right, as late as April 2020 this year, to tambah an additional asset to be forfeited? Now this asset is not owned or in the control, all right, of Riza Aziz. It's already, all right, in the hands of DOJ. DOJ owns it lawfully. All right, you can't challenge the ownership of DOJ because, first of all, by a warrant of arrest in RAM, that poster was already seized. All right? Okay. Now, how did Riza Aziz, okay, get the money to buy this poster? And I read to you, all right, at page 218 of the main action, okay, para Z, this, the last paragraph, bottom paragraph, you can't miss it. Page 218, okay, of the claim filed by DOJ in the forfeiture proceedings. Can you see it? Okay. It's very clear. Okay. Now I read to you. Aziz acquired the Metropolis movie poster using funds diverted to the ABBA BVI account. Aziz used funds from the Alison Chance account, which are traceable to the process from the 2012 bond sales, to purchase Metropolis poster. Okay. So now, my point is this. He received money, right, from the Alison Chance account. This money is traceable to 2012 bond sales, part of which was used to buy the picture. We don't know what happens to the other monies. All right? Where have they kept? He has disclosed one account, Huffington account, a small amount. Okay, in the media statement, the Attorney General says, on 30th May this year, okay, a few weeks ago, the MEC wrote again to the solicitors, instructing Riza Aziz to transfer 14 million held in an escrow account at Huntington National Bank, USA, to the government of Malaysia. Okay? Almost 11th hour, 30th May. That means the information from Riza Aziz as to his assets came in drips and drabs. In so far as Rick Guerrero is concerned, he can't hide because DOJ sapu already. Alright? And he guaranteed the payment to DOJ. Alright? In addition, gave the unqualified, very wide recourse and guarantee that he will give a list of all the assets wherever held by whosoever, which ultimately belongs to him. So therefore, we have now, all of a sudden we know there's Metropolis poster that come in the bank, alright, bank account, Huntington National Bank, USA, okay. What else do they have? Can you see now the problem we have? And I can assure you of the 3 properties, we don't know the name yet, alright? But let me tell you, part of the properties, alright, is owned by Riza Aziz, is one he purchased from Jolo. Now, how come that has not been disclosed? Can Sri Ram, alright, explain to all of us whether all the assets belonging to Riza Aziz are part of the deal? And I'll go to page 142. 142. I'm not sure whether this reference to Jolo, the property bought from Jolo, is one of the 3 properties agreed to be forfeited. Alright? So I may like to now invite you to page 142 of the main action. Okay. Paragraph 500. On about July 6, 2012, a contract for the sale of Park Laurel condominium. Park Laurel condominium was executed between Park Laurel NYC Limited as a seller and Park Laurel Acquisition LLC as the buyer. The lawyer Sherman represented the buyer, Park Laurel Acquisition LLC, and Sullivan and Cromwell will represent the seller, Park Royal. So the seller and the buyer have the same name, Park Royal. Okay, right? The seller is called Park Royal NYC. The buyer is Park Laurel LLC. And it says here, the sales contract was signed by Aziz on behalf of the buyer, Park Laurel Acquisition LLC. The company is a buyer, obviously, right? And Aziz must be a director shareholder of Park Laurel Condominium LLC. Okay. In a letter dated September 28, 2012, Aziz requested that the condominium board for the Park Laurel condominium waive its first right of refusal to a transfer of title from Park Laurel NYC to Park Laurel Acquisition LLC. In a letter, Aziz represented he was a sole director of an entity called SOSEM Investment Limited, and SOSEM Investment Limited was a sole member shareholder of Park Laurel Acquisition LLC. And Aziz also represented that upon transfer of title, the unit shall be occupied by Riza Aziz, as if Riza was the individual owner of the unit. Okay? And Aziz claimed ownership of SOSEM in his 212 US tax return. Okay? So now, the buyer is called Park Laurel Condominium LLC. This company is owned by SOSEM Investment Limited, for which Riza Aziz is a sole director shareholder. Okay? Now, I would like to know whether this asset, the Park Laurel condominium, which Aziz is staying, is the same property referred to in the present Attorney General's media release or additional. Because there are other because of why it's important, because the money used to acquire these condominiums, this property, were transferred from what MDB's monies. You see what I mean? So it is very perplexing that in such a major case, where a key figure in the entire one MDB fiasco, Riza Aziz, who's very close to Joe Low, all right, we have no details. Surely, in the pre-bargain and the presentation before the court, the Sessions Court, these details must be made known to the court in detail, so that the court can supervise and realize whether Riza Aziz has fully complied with the order of court granting DNAA. The DNAA is subject to the following terms. Riza Aziz must do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, in default which he can be prosecuted again. We don't have, none of these details are made known. Fine, we agree. The present Attorney General, having been so-called advised and persuaded by the Attorney General, by Gopal Sriram, who also persuaded Latifah Koya, then Director of MEC, to accept the representation, all right? Surely, and I'm inviting and appealing to the President Attorney General, please look through the main claim filed by DOJ in California, and how Aziz received monies from Abba BVI, from Jolo, all right, bank accounts, right, whatever, and see whether there's any more monies stashed away in any account in the world beyond the amount stated in his media statement, 14 million. I would suggest there are more monies out there. If there's no more prosecution at all, then surely every dollar misappropriated, the ill-gotten gains must be returned in full at the least, less whatever he has spent, right? But then I'm sure the other monies, right, floating around in bank accounts, for he had enough money to go to even to casinos to gamble using our MDB's money. Did he give details how much monies from what MDB bond had he used to gamble with Jolo? All right, give the amount, right? He may have winnings, all right, and even he had losses. Make good the losses because he must reimburse what he stole from one MDB. All right. Then, right, there may be some, right, reasonableness, right, in the plea deal. Otherwise, it's a mockery. The discretion by the General under Article 1453 of the Constitution, I concede. We can't question discretion. But if the underlying reason for the exercise of discretion is because of representation advised by Gopal Sriram, and if those representation suggested by Gopal Sriram and Latifa Koya is erroneous, baseless, or lacking in substance, for example, if there are more than 10 assets available to be seized, only 4 is offered, something is very wrong. My dear fellow Malaysians, can you understand that? The timing. Why now? Just before Parliament sat on Monday, 18th. Now, why do I say, I'd like to repeat again, that Tommy Thomas could not have agreed or given consent was because on the 31st January, as I said in my previous video, A. Chambers counsel was present in court together with Riza Aziz lawyers and informed the court that a deal will be finalized by the 25th of February this year. Okay? So if Tommy Thomas has consented and given the consent, I would have thought the DNAA would be granted on the 25th of February 2020. Then it becomes very clear. Tommy Thomas consented, persuaded by Gopal Sriram. We're not told. Have we not the right to demand transparency, accountability from Latifa Koya, Sriram, and the present Attorney General to tell them, look, there are a lot of loopholes, right, in your representation. A bit I have consented to this deal, but if there's more assets, right, we should support them as well. That is a right of the AG to do that. Because if Riza Aziz has misrepresented or hide other assets, that means that deal, the plea deal, was not sincere, was not bona fides. He wanted, right, okay, part payment for the full acquittal. Part payment. Because if he fulfill these 3 properties, whatever, then they will go back to court and say, acquittal. He's complied with the terms. Full acquittal. For monies is no longer in his possession. All properties no longer in his custody is all with DOJ. Okay? Is that the best deal we can do? and get from Riza Aziz for DNA now and later full acquittal. And surprisingly, out of blues, today it was reported in the newspaper that Gopal Sriram may include him as a witness against the Prime Minister. Why now? Why the disclosure of this fact now? Why not before the court? That would make truly a better argument for DNAA. He has offered to be a prosecution witness. You follow me? Now all of a sudden, like a magician, the rabbit is pulled out of the hat. Let's see whether he will testify before the court on behalf of the prosecution. That said, I'd like to conclude my video address today. Essentially, what I'm saying to all of you is, these are the people, save the new Attorney General, appointed by the Pakatan Harapan regime. Tommy Thomas has denied consent. Lead prosecutor, was appointed and made the lead prosecutor under the auspices of the Pakatan regime. Likewise, the director of MACC. Can you see that? However, something very fishy, Startup report, question the deal. But implied in her article, Claire Brown, that the fault is with the present government. Can you imagine that? He chose not to name Sri Ram as the lead prosecutor. He chose not to name Latifah Koya, who accepted the deal, but just mentioned that the Attorney General disclosed in his media statement the following ABC. That's all. Why is he keeping quiet? Why is she keeping quiet in the article? Right? Who is she covering up? Who is she protecting? Some report. I find it very odd, Right? So she wants to be holier than thou. At the same time, she wants to cover up. What actually transpired? Go to the argument, to the jugular. Alright? Why has she failed to do that? Now, I appeal once again to Latifah Koya. Right? You were part of the Pakatan Harapan regime. Entire campaign to unseat Najib, you were saying in your campaign, in everywhere, PKR, DAP, Amanah, Bersatu, we will ask for transparency, accountability, blah, blah, blah. You've been here, you tell about accountability in Parliament. Please, bring out the full details. There's true accountability. Because the people are the ultimate boss, not Parliament. You can talk cock in Parliament if you want to, and you're immune, Alright? And how often are the detailed, verbatim arguments produced by newspapers? We don't know. We don't know. Understand? So for heaven's sake, I'm not questioning now, the discretion exercised by the Attorney General. Article 145(3) cannot be questioned. Fine. But I'm going to question, and I will question Gopal Sriram, Latifah Koya, and who else in the Pakatan Harapan since November of 2018 were behind, have knowledge, the political masters who agreed. And finally, I would like this question to be posed in Parliament. Be posed. Was this deal a quid pro quo to show bona fide that if Anwar Ibrahim is a Prime Minister, because he submitted his name to be appointed as Prime Minister to the King, this will be done? I don't know yet. Parliament must ask that question. You have the duty and responsibility to ask the question. And also, did Tun Mahathir know about these representations? He was a Prime Minister. Gopal Sriram is the advisor of Anwar. We want to know whether Gopal Sriram has told Anwar Ibrahim of this deal, and whether Tun Mahathir was also advised by Gopal Sriram or Latifah Koya, because Latifah Koya is personally appointed by the PM, then PM, Tun Mahathir. And so far as Gopal Sriram is concerned, it was indirect. His name was submitted by Tommy Thomas to the lead counsel, and Tun agreed. You see? So with that, I hope I've clarified to all of you, right? You know, when we criticize or we question anyone, come up with evidence. And today, right, I've come with all the evidence for you to photograph it, pay the money if you want to. I have paid. I have paid. Just like all these documents. It's all these files here. Okay, more. I've 15 files of the 36 over cases I felt in a video court. I paid by credit card to download all these things, without which you can't. I'm registered there. So if you dare question the authenticity of these documents, and I'm telling you, I've given it up to you in A3 size, so you can stat it, verify it, and then if you really want, and put the money in your mouth to know the whole truth, nothing but the truth, pay for it, get your lawyer to be registered in the California court in USA, and you get the documents. Okay? And I hope, for those of you die-hards Pakatan supporters, okay, you owe it to yourself whether you want to still be blind or wearing blinkers or get the whole truth. If you're fighting for truth, you owe it to yourself, your family, and your friends. Do the dirty work of researching. Don't sit there and say, so unreasonable lah, this and that lah, and whacking the Prime Minister, who has said very categorically, I have nothing to do with this. Bear has said categorically he's not involved in this. He doesn't know anything. Rightly so. Because Attorney General supposedly is to be under the Pakatan Harapan regime is independent. Okay? Won't accept any interference. We will reform the AD chambers. We will reform the judicial system. This is the representation in the manifesto, understand? You die-hards, Pakatan Harapan supporters. Now I'm telling you, those are lies. Because if this deal was not told to any of the leaders, alright, they can't be, alright, totally ignorant, impossible. Not in this world, impossible. Then wake up. Wake up and clean your conscience, right? Spring clean it. Okay? With that, once again, I appeal to all of you. Surrender unconditionally to the will of Allah. Have absolute faith that He will defend, protect, and guide us in our struggle for truth and justice. And I believe He has guided me. Because every step I take is based on truth, not opinion, not propaganda. And I challenge any one of you to show that my video broadcasts, my address are based on whims and fancies and opinions. It's based on facts, evidence. With that, I thank you for your attention, and I hope you spread this video far and wide.